I know it has been a very busy week for you. I want to start with what happened yesterday. You were in Geneva for the first official meeting of the Libra Association. Walk me through what happened yesterday and what you guys were able to accomplish.
So yes, that's right. Yesterday we had our inaugural council meeting in Geneva, and it was a really awesome moment where 21 companies came together, not only companies, actually social impact partners, venture firms and others, came together and started working on not only establishing a governance model for the association, but also distributed different roles. A board was elected. I was lucky enough to also be elected at the board with four other amazing individuals that I'm really looking forward to working with. And the big change is that fundamentally yesterday, this project moved from being Facebook-led to being led by this association, of which we're one of 21 members now, and in the future one of 100, and one of 5 board members. So really looking forward to the next stages here, and it was just great to feel the passion and the energy in the room and the commitment from all of these parties that are now really going to work on really trying to change the status quo for people all around the world when it comes to access and cost of financial services.
Now, I know when you initially thought of this first meeting, there were some other companies that you thought might be there, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe. A lot of these companies announced late last week that they were leaving the association. Tell me what was happening behind the scenes as a lot of these announcements kind of came out around the same time on Friday.
Well, look, first I have to say, and I said this publicly, I want to thank all of these companies for coming along on the journey. When you're in the payment space, wanting to really explore something that could potentially be disruptive and wanting to lean in like this is really remarkable and is to be commended. I think, towards the end of last week, there was a lot of pressure mounting, and I totally respect the fact that, those businesses and those leaders have a responsibility to their shareholders, to their employees and stakeholders, and given that you don't need to be a member of the association to build on top of the Libra network, all of these companies will still have the ability to build on top of Libra. I understand that they don't want to do the heavy lifting by our side at this moment in time, and that's okay. We're going to move forward. We're going to add more members going forward in the next 2 quarters, and we're going to work really hard together to address all of the legitimate concerns that were raised by regulators and stakeholders around the world before this can move forward.
A lot of the companies that did leave, at least late last week, they're payments companies, they're financial services companies. Yes. Theoretically, those are companies that are familiar with the road ahead for you guys. Are you worried that they maybe know something that you're unaware of here?
No, and I want to strongly state that. I don't believe we're unaware of anything. I just believe that when your core business is in this space and you probably receive a lot of pressure not to press on, then at some point you have to make a decision on this high-risk project, because it's a project, it's an idea right now that we believe will see the light of day, but there's just a lot of hurdles that we still need to clear, and your core business. And again, you have to put your core business and your own business interests first versus a project like this that is high beta. And so, I understand that given that they're in the space, that they would, receive a lot of pressure and want to prioritize their own business.
I want to talk about some of that pressure. There was a letter that a few Democratic senators sent to a lot of these companies, basically urging them not to join the association. It read in many ways kind of like a threat. I'm curious, did you take it that way when you read that letter?
Well, I don't know. What did it sound like to you, Kurt?
It did sound a little bit threatening. It was if you don't, if you join, you're going to have a tougher road ahead. I'm curious, have you been surprised, I guess, by the pushback that you've received from regulators?
No, and again, I'd say that there are 2 tracks here. I'd say that there's the engagement on the regulatory front, where we've had very constructive conversations. There are questions. Those are legitimate questions. We need to bring the right answers to those questions. Now we have the ability to do so. Since yesterday, we finally have a governance model and an association that is fully formed. It was really hard for us to speak on behalf of all of these prospective members before they became members. Now how the association can take this on and really make progress on all of these questions. But I'd say that, for these types of letters to be circulated for a thing that's an idea, a project, and telling people you should not explore innovation and a project at a time where not only here in this country, but all around the world, the core of our financial system hasn't evolved much in the last 50 years, and consumers all around the world are paying the price for it. I think we should ask ourselves whether this is the right approach if we want to really lower cost and lower the barriers of access for financial services for all of the people who deserve so much better in the world.
When you guys announced the formal association yesterday, you said that there were as many as 1,500 other organizations or companies that are interested in joining. Can you give us a sense of how soon you may be expanding the association and who might be joining you guys?
So these are the types of things that I can't, talk about anymore from Libra, because this is now in the hands of the Libra Association. What I understand from the process that the Libra Association is now running is that they will work towards welcoming more members in the next 2 quarters, and my guess is they'll share more about new members as they join.
I know you say you can't share too much, but banks, there's been a lot of talk. Do you think that there will be any big banks joining you guys?
Well, so I want to put it out there. So we, from our standpoint, when we started this, as you've seen, we've welcomed all kinds of different companies, from existing incumbents in the payment space, and everyone who wanted to participate in this big idea of bringing to market something better than the current system that leaves so many people behind. And so, I think that. Again, I can't speak for the whole association, but I think that we would all collectively welcome banks to participate, certainly those banks that are forward-looking and are ready to try to do better on the core system for moving money around the world.